Almost all of us will experience heartbreak at some point in our lives. When my patient Vegas planned her wedding in middle school, she met her future spouse. Get engaged at the age of 27 and marry a year later, but when Vegas was 27, she had not found her spouse. She discovered a lump in her breast. She endured months of severe chemotherapy and excruciating operations, just as she was about to re-enter the dating scene. She discovered a lump in her other breast and had to start again. B, on the other hand, had healed and was anxious to continue her hunt for her husband as soon as her brows came back in. You must be able to exhibit a broad variety of emotions while going on first dates on planet Earth. She met Rio shortly after and fell in love. The connection was all she had dreamed of. Rich booked appointments at their favorite romantic restaurants 6 months later, after a great weekend in Dubai. Vegas was overjoyed because she knew he was going to propose, but Rio did not propose to her that night. He loved Vegas as much as he loved her, and he broke up with her. He was just not in love. Vegas's heart had been crushed, and she now faced yet another rehabilitation, but 5 months after the breakup, she couldn't stop thinking about Rio. Her heart was still shattered. Why is this the case? Why couldn't this immensely strong and resolute lady summon the same mental energies that had gotten her through 4 years of cancer treatments? Why do so many of us struggle in our attempts to heal from heartbreak? Why, after over 20 years of private practice, do the same coping mechanisms that carry us through all types of life obstacles fail us so terribly when our heart is broken? I've watched individuals of all ages and backgrounds experience all types of heartache, and what I've discovered is that when your heart is crushed, the same instincts you normally depend on will take you down the incorrect road over and again. You simply cannot trust what your mind is telling you. For example, we know from studies of heartbroken people that having a clear understanding of why the relationship ended is critical for our ability to move on, but we've rejected simple and honest explanations like the one Rio offered Vegas time and time again. Because sorrow causes such intense emotional anguish, our minds tell us that the reason must be similarly intense, and our gut feeling is very strong. It has the ability to make even the most rational and measured among us create riddles and conspiracy theories where none exist. Vegas became certain that something occurred during her romantic holiday with Rio that soured him on a relationship, and she got obsessed with determining what it was, so she spent endless hours replaying every minute of that weekend in her memory. Looking through her memories for missing information, Vegas' mind duped her into starting this crazy goose chase, but what pushed her to stick with it for so long? Heartbreak is far more subtle than we know. There's a reason we keep going down rabbit holes after rabbit holes, even when we know it'll make us feel worse. According to brain research, the withdrawal from romantic love stimulates the same brain pathways that are active when addicts withdraw from narcotics such as cocaine or opiates. Her unconscious mind illustrates the process of her recollections with Rio. Her instincts told her she was attempting to solve a riddle, but what she was truly doing was getting her to mend it. This is what makes sorrow so tough to heal, and they realize they're hooked while they're shooting up. That the heartbroken do not, but you do, and if your heart is crushed, you cannot ignore it. You have to know that, as powerful as the impulse is with every trip down memory lane, every text you send, and every second you spend fanning your ex on social media, you must recognize that you're just exacerbating your addiction, exacerbating your emotional agony, and complicating your recovery. It is not a path to recover from heartbreak. It's a battle, and your reason is your most powerful weapon. There is no satisfactory breakup explanation, no reasoning that can take away the anguish you feel. So don't look for one, don't wait for one, just take the one that was presented to you or build one for yourself, and then put the question to rest because you need that closure to fight the addiction, and you also need something else. To accept that it's finished, you must be prepared to let go. Otherwise, your mind will feed on your hope and set you back. When your heart is shattered, hope may be quite devastating. Heartbreak is a master manipulator. The ease with which it gets our minds to perform the exact opposite of what we need to heal is astounding. When our heart is crushed, one of our most typical instincts is to idealize the person who destroyed it. We could spend hours recalling their grin and how wonderful they made us feel as we walked up the mountain and made love beneath the sky. All of this accomplishes is exacerbate our grief. We are aware of this, yet we continue to allow our minds to cycle through one greatest hit after another. We were held captive by our own passive-aggressive Spotify playlist. Heartbreak will bring such ideas to mind, therefore you must balance them out by recalling their scowl, not gazing at smiles, and how horrible they made you feel. The fact that you got lost going down the mountain after the lovemaking, fought a lot, and didn't talk for 2 days. I advise my patients to make an extensive list of all the reasons the individual was inappropriate for them. All the flaws, all the pet peeves, and then save it to your phone. Once you have your list, you must utilize it. When I detect even the tiniest fragrance of idealization or nostalgia in a session, I go from, please. Your mind will attempt to convince you that they were ideal, but they were not, and neither was the relationship, and if you want to get over them, you must constantly remind yourself of this. My patient Moscow, a 56-year-old senior executive at a software business, was no exception to grief. He felt ready to start dating again 5 years after his wife died. He soon met Shaz and began a whirlwind relationship. After 1 month, they presented each other to their adult children, and after 2 months, they moved in together. Middle-aged individuals don't fool about when it comes to dating. It's like Love Actually meets the Fast and the Furious. Moscow was happier than he had been in years, but Shaz left him the night before their first anniversary. She had chosen to go to the West Coast in order to be closer to her children, and she did not want to be in a long-distance relationship. Moscow was completely taken by surprise and upset. He hardly functioned at work for months and was on the verge of losing his job. As a result, another effect of bereavement is that feeling alone and in agony may impede our cognitive performance greatly. Particularly while undertaking hard activities requiring logic and reasoning, it momentarily decreases our IQ, but it wasn't simply the severity of Moscow's sadness that perplexed his employers, it was also the length of his anguish. This perplexed Miguel as well, and he felt embarrassed by it. In our session, he asked me, "What's wrong with you? What grown-up spends almost a year trying to get over a 1-year relationship?" Heartbreak, in fact, bears all of the markers of conventional loss and sorrow. Insomnia, nagging thoughts, as well as immune system malfunction. Clinically significant depression affects 40% of the population. Heartbreak is a complicated psychological wound. It affects us in a variety of ways. For example, Shaz was an extremely sociable and busy person. Every week, she hosted meals at her home. Despite the fact that Moscow was not religious, she and Moscow went on camping vacations with other couples. Every Sunday, he followed Shaz to church, where he was accepted into the congregation. Moscow not only lost his lover, but also his whole social life. Shaz's church's supportive community, he had lost his couple identity. Moscow realized that the breakup had left a great gap in his life, but he failed to see that it had left much more than one, and this is important not just because it explains why sorrow can be so terrible, but also because it shows us how to recover, to cure your shattered heart. You must find and fill these holes in your life, and I mean all of them. You must re-establish who you are and what your life is about to fill the blanks in your identity. The males in your social life, the missed activities, even the vacant spots on the wall where pictures used to hang will not help you unless you avoid the blunders that might set you back. Superfluous excuses, idealizing your ex rather than concentrating on how they were bad for you. Participate in ideas and activities that still give them a starring role in this new chapter of your life, even if they shouldn't. It is difficult to recover from heartbreak, but you refuse to be misled by your thoughts and take efforts to mend. You can dramatically reduce your pain, and it will help more than just you. You'll be more involved with your family and friends, not to mention the billions of dollars in lost productivity in the office that may be prevented. So, if you know someone who is devastated, be compassionate since social support has been proven to be vital for their rehabilitation, and be patient because it will take them longer to move on than you think, and if you're suffering, be aware of this. It's challenging, it's a mental struggle, and you have to work hard to win, but you have weapons. You can attack and heal at the same time. Thank you very much.